welcome our distinguished guests, families, and friends attending today's ceremony. First, today's honorees, Billy Kale and his wife Claudia, and their children Stella, William, and Joanna. General Kale's parents, Lieutenant Colonel retired Bill and Judy Kale. General Kale's sister, Michelle Jillian, and her husband Scott. Claudia's father, Ben Muhlenberg. Claudia's brother, Mikhail Muhlenberg, and his wife Karen, and their children Hayden and Finn. Colonel Shane Lewis, the officiating officer for today's ceremony, Colonel Chad Bondurant, Colonel Michael Stefanovic, the commander of the 87th Civil Engineer Group, Chief Master Sergeant Sam Miller, the senior enlisted leader for the 87th Civil Engineer Group. And finally, I'd like to welcome all other family, friends, and colleagues to celebrate this momentous occasion with General Kale and his family. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you today's officiating officer, Colonel Shane Lewis.
General Kale, first and foremost, congratulations and thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to serve as your officer at this ceremony. And it's just really cool, just so that we all understand what's going on. There's a couple oddities that if you haven't already noticed. He's a general, I'm a colonel. You might be wondering first off, what's up with that? The deal was he was able to, as many of you do know, have his official retirement ceremony down in San Antonio and was officiated by his boss, a 2-star. So that official check mark has been punched. It's really cool that now we're able to be here with you in New Jersey and have the family and the friends and everyone here to be able to celebrate this very momentous occasion with General Kale once again up here with all of you. So again, thank you, General Kale, and I think that's really cool, and congratulations to you and Claudia and the kids. And so I've got a couple of crutches with me now, though, too. Oh, and the other oddity I skipped over. Every other person in here, I think, has a civil engineering badge. If you're looking around, I think I am the only person in here in uniform that doesn't have a civil engineer badge. What in the heck? What is that about? Well, it just so happens, it turns out that General Kale and I, we met at our first duty location, our first assignment on active duty, signing in 2 second lieutenants. I won't speak for him. I would have said 2 scared second lieutenants. I'll speak for myself. Kind of nervous. Hey man, what's going on here? I don't know about all this stuff. And when you report into your base, what you do is you go to the VOQs, the visiting officer quarters. And that's generally where, otherwise you'd go to your squadron and sign in with your orderly room, or otherwise you could go to the VOQs. We both elected and were told, frankly, I think at least I was, by our sponsors, go to the queues, sign in, give us a call, and we'll give you further instructions. He and I happened to walk in at the exact same time. Never met before, brand new second lieutenants, and we signed in together. I think literally he held the door open for me, and I said, thank you, and walk in, and I get up to the counter, and the lady at the registration desk says, you know, hey, welcome LTs. I was like, oh, Second Lieutenant Lewis, you've got the last room. And I just remember that it kind of fueled the pain. She goes, don't worry, honey, we're in North Carolina, Pope Airport. Don't worry, honey, I got you taken care of too. So that's kind of how that went down. But now here we are 29 years later, still friends, met on active duty, signed into the queues, each called our sponsors. And then it's like, mine was Lieutenant Tate, Ryan maybe, he calls his, we're in our rooms, we're checked in now. We're in the middle of a phase 2 exercise. And so what that means is our units are busy. They're in chemical gear, they're conducting this exercise that we then, and he would, and in many ways, lead and be a part of conducting these exercises, mock explosions, mock bombings of the airfield and fixing the crater. But my sponsor told me, just look, I am too busy, find something to do for the next 3 days, and I'll call you, don't call me kind of deal. I'm like, okay, thanks. And apparently he got a very similar message, because I remember we both kind of walked out of our VOQ rooms, and it was kind of like a Motel 6 kind of deal, so you step out of your room and then you're just outside. And I remember looking down at him, and he looked at me, and we both kind of went, now what? So there you go, further helped solidify our friendship, because we spent the next 3 days eating dinner, eating and then drinking together, and they were all very professional exchanges the entire time. So, as were all of our activities as lieutenants and junior captains, right? So that's how that came to pass. So without further ado, my two crutches, one, my reading glasses, because I'm not a second lieutenant anymore, so the eyes have kind of gone shot. And General, he gave me some notes. I just didn't get them committed to memory. Don't worry, he's already reprimanded me. I owe him 50. I'll take care of those later. But he gave me some really cool factoids and things of that nature. And what we're gonna do is we'll go through company grade officer time and memories that he's given me that he wanted highlighted for each of you to be aware of. And again, it's gonna provide you just a little bit of understanding of the amazing accomplishments and the great leadership he's demonstrated that you may not otherwise know. Right? So we'll talk about what he did as a company grade officer, so that'll be lieutenant through captain. As a field grade officer, which is when you're a major through lieutenant colonel. Then as a colonel, a full bird colonel, which is is still set off in the next level category. And then of course, general. And I hope you do talk. I didn't get the facts or the statistics. I don't think, or maybe you did. Help me with those. That I'll very few general officers and even fewer civil engineer general officers. So for him to have had that opportunity to be able to lead in that capacity. So before I get into the company grade officer stuff, I want to just some random factoids. I thought it was pretty cool that he took the time or tallied these up, so I'm just gonna straight off read them to you. He lived in a tent for almost 3 years of his life. So now he camps at the Marriott. And I'm a Bonvoy member too, and I agree. He spent 4 years in school, so college and all that, and then he were commissioned. And still, people don't assume that's it. We're professionals, professional military barns. That means you continue to educate yourself on being able to do your job. And General Kale absolutely did as part of getting to where he is. 4 more years of school and 1 year of training after his college degree. Deployed to 20 different countries and supported 6 operations, and several of them he won't ever be able to talk to us about. In addition to his deployments, he lived 9 years overseas in 4 different countries. Over 200 TDYs, or otherwise business trips, temporary duty. So from his home station, wherever that might be, would be given orders to go somewhere else for a period of time. Those TDYs are business trips to 24 countries and 44 states, almost 2 years worth of his career. So that's where we're gonna talk a little bit about sacrifices the family makes and not understanding maybe why dad's not home. It's for those instances where he's on orders to go help someone else somewhere else on one of those business trips. So as a CGO, he says that's where you really learn, just civil engineering and how to run a base. Oh, by the way, he's kind of looking at me because he's like, Lewis, you have 5 minutes. And look, in picking me, he should have known that I'm on top. So, I think that's why he only gave me a page and a half of notes, not his whole record. Like, stick to the script, Lewis. So I'm trying to stay like some of our other distinguished executive leaders, and it'll turn into a mess if I get off script. I'll just leave it at that. Apply your own political beliefs to that. But so that's where you learn how to really become a civil engineer running the base, kind of that squadron level. You're gonna see the progression in just the level of leadership, as you would expect as one progresses in rank. But that's also where he says he's kind of had the most fun. That's where you make your friends, and General Kale indicates that that's where he made most of his best friends that he now has today. So he and I met at Hope, and then he went to the Azores. So Chad, that's where he and Colonel, this is interactive. You got there you go. Where they were able to meet, and so Chad and I had the opportunity to meet last night and had a great time. Really good getting to know him. But it sounds like General Kale, to me then, no disrespect, Bill and I left off. Chad and Bill picked up. So it sounds like they had a great time in the Azores, would have been first lieutenants, captains. Licensed engineer at this time, learning how to practice civil engineering. Found his passion with Red Horse, and so if you will, in my opinion, and if I describe this wrong, anyone correct me, Dave, Chad, anybody else, Red Horse in my mind is like the special operations of civil engineering. Would that be a fair assessment? And so really going down range and doing, civil engineering is tough as it is, and now in combat zones with maybe some specialized types of equipment and very austere locations and potentially even, again, in combat conditions, and I'll just let you ponder on that. Is where the Red Horse team goes downrange and does what they need to do, supporting airmen all over the world, peacetime and in combat. And in doing such a great job, this is where he won Air Force Engineer of the Year. So that's Air Force Engineer of the Year. A lot of us maybe win squadron whatever of the year, group of the year, or even wing of the year, but he won engineer of the year for the entire Air Force. And so that is just one of the awards that attribute, and the award is not really the thing that makes us proud. It's the reflection on all the great things and the great people that you worked with that supported in your achievement to be able to get that award. And it's rarely, I would actually venture to say it's never just you, your team that helped you get there. But it's based on his leadership, and again, an amazing accomplishment. Top 10 Federal Engineer of the Year in 2002. And this is a big one, and please, this is the first time he won, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the memorabilia table, but this, please do if you haven't yet afterwards, the first Bronze Star. And so the Bronze Star is within the top 4 of the highest medals you can get in combat. And he's now earned a Bronze Star as a captain in 2003. And then another big deal going on is and then at this time, working in the Pacific Air Forces, also known as PACAF. He's the Company Brigade Officer nominee for the Saigon Award in 2004. And I'm actually going to elaborate on what the Saigon Award means here in a little bit. So, hardest project during this period of time was building a Predator Reaper Tower in Afghanistan. So, and I'm seeing a theme, all the hard projects have to do with UAV towers. So, we'll have to talk about that afterwards. So now, Field Grade Officer, Major, Lieutenant Colonel time frame, kind of that mid-grade officer, definitely increasing in responsibility during this time. We were in deputy positions in the squadron, or squadron commander would have been covered during this time. And so, and also then, first bullet, he was handpicked to serve as a legislative fellow. Again, one of 2 times now that he's not only influencing and leading in the military, but now he's interacting with our senior leaders in government, the elected officials, senators, representatives, the Speaker of the House, but any with like the President, Executive Branch, not so much, mainly just Congress. So interacting with Congress and influencing, and and I gotta believe, just that is nothing that they're gonna let anyone do that the Air Force has any misconceptions on whether or not they can trust them, because you're gonna be in private situations with that leader, and they may or may not, you probably can't speak about what kinds of questions they may ask. But then General Kale, in that moment, is an Air Force leader speaking to them on Air Force issues. And so helping guide, what they may be thinking about, or even understanding or misunderstanding about the Air Force. General Kale is there to help that member of Congress through that time. And so that was his first time as an FGO, and then I know we got to see each other again. That was cool. A couple times during that period, to include Air Command Staff College. He earned the Army Combat Badge for serving with the Corps of Engineers in 2006. And this is where he earned his second Bronze Star. So earning 1 is a big deal, and General Kale has earned 2, one as a CGO and one as an FGO. And he earned that one as a squadron commander in 2010. And now, previous CGO PACAF and 1 MAGCOM, there's 10 MAGCOMs. So he's Saigon nominee from PACAF. Now, as a field grade officer, he's the Saigon nominee for the Saigon Award in 2011 from USAFE, the United States Air Forces in Europe. And he won the Curtin Award as a commander for the Air Force's Best Civil Engineering Award. Now, I've already kind of spoke on Bronze Star is among the top 4 highest combat medals you can get. The Saigon Award is a big deal, and he and I talked about this and wanted to be able to emphasize Captain Saigon is a Vietnam Air fighter pilot, was shot down. That's who the award was named after. And it is a very big deal in the Air Force. If anyone is a Saigon Award winner, you get a special ribbon as well, recognition, but to be nominated at any level is a big deal. That is your unit saying you're the best person in that unit, and be it a squadron level, a group level, wing level. But for him to then have been nominated and then win and be the MAGCOM nominee, he's now 1 of 10 in either the CGO or FGO in those 2 respective categories, because is that a sign I really need to shut up? We doing okay? If I need a restroom break here, we'll take 5th inning stretch, 7th inning stretch. So Saigon, though, seriously is a big deal. And so named after a POW fighter pilot, he was shot down, dedication to duty, and that he was a good leader, that his team respected him, evaded the enemy for 46 days. So think about it, because you live in the woods, what would you eat, drink? You figured all out. His job at that time, his duty to mission is to not get captured, to never surrender, according to our code of conduct. Ultimately, he did get captured, and then his next job as a prisoner of war is to try to escape and aid others to escape, is another one of the articles of our code of conduct. And Captain Saijan died trying to do so. And so, let's see, and it was just awarded by the Secretary and the Chief, and I got 2 quotes. So the 2004 winners, when Secretary Kendall spoke for the winners, said Captain Saijan was the epitome of what we look for in leaders. And then from the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Alvin, at this year's ceremony, this is not about doing the job. There's a difference between doing the job and committing to the mission. And so, again, just wanted to emphasize on behalf of General Kale for all of you that if you didn't understand, that wasn't just a quarterly award. He's a Saijan Award nominee ×2 and a Bronze Star winner ×2. All right, sir, fast and funny, I got it. I hear you. I can feel the pressure. I can feel you staring at the back of my neck. As a colonel on joint staff, again, he served, this is where he was working with the Speaker of the House, and again, as a liaison. He became the mayor of Andrews, and I hope, sir, maybe you'll elaborate on what that means, beyond maybe meeting and escorting DVs. But one of the really cool things is he was there and helped set up all the logistics and security for the Pope. To be able to have then a world dignitary of that stature fly in, land at Andrews, and at that time it would have been Colonel Kale, who's responsible to our entire now National Command structure to greet this very senior DV, and General Kale did it outstanding. And then he also, at this time, and this is also a big deal, we don't have pilot wings, but he was, as a colonel, the combat support wing commander in Britain of a bomber task force that had B-1s, B-2s, and B-52s. He was the commander over those units, and those bombers dropped bombs in Syria, Iraq, and parts of Africa. So just an amazing career, then becomes a general officer, and I'm gonna have to borrow your podium there, sir, or high top for the bar, whatever the case may be. But then he becomes a general, a 1-star general. I couldn't be more proud of my friend at this point, just so you know. And so served as the Air Force Director of Civil Engineers and Commander of Air Force Civil Engineering Center, so AFCET, and that's the last assignment where he's just retired out of San Antonio. Had the distinct honor of him visiting our unit and us from the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, being maybe brief on opportunities where those agencies could collaborate on, maybe chemical warfare types of defeat efforts, but just in charge of, at this point, 51,000 people. Let that sink in. I meant to Google how many people live in Somerville. I need to check that. More people than live in Somerville or not, but I forgot to Google that one before I got over here. Responsible for the oversight, planning, development, construction, maintenance of utilities at 183 Air Force bases worldwide, and over $400 billion, with a B, $400 billion budget that he's responsible for having the team execute to be able to keep our Air Force running. So his career highlight, so General Richardson, both of our bosses at this time, you go up higher and you find enough stars, eventually they're all our boss, acquisition officer and civil engineer. And General Richardson was a career acquisition officer like me, and was just overwhelmed when he got to see an Air Force civil engineer exercise on what they do day to day in wartime. And so for each of you, I wanted to read, just imagine total chaos with explosions, fire, blown up buildings, and craters everywhere, with engineers working in a choreographed manner to keep an air base in the fight. And that's what General Kale and his team did day in and day out after 29 years. So sir, don't worry, this is it. We're coming to an end, get ready. Civil engineer, combat veteran, U.S. Air Force officer, military advisor to our senior government officials, highly decorated general officer. This is where even I get choked up. Husband, father, brother, son, and friend.
Thank you, Colonel Lewis. General William Kale and Claudia, please join Colonel Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the retirement. Publish the order. Attention to order. The Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Instruction 36-3203, Special Order ACG-003, 2024 states Brigadier General William H. Kale III is hereby relieved from active duty effective 1 June 2024 and is therefore retired from the United States Air Force and degraded Brigadier General by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Thank you. You may be seated. Claudia may pin. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our Air Force traditions is for the Honor Guard to fold the flag during a retiree ceremony, which they will proudly display in their home to remind them of their service and sacrifice for our country. Please remain seated while the Honor Guard folds our nation's flag. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been a symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans, both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every American who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's American airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom, at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, Americans have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and privilege to present to you Brigadier General William H. Kale, United States Air Force, retired.
For all officers in the Air Force, that basically they give you a recommendation when you're speaking: be brief, be good, and be gone. I promise you, I will be gone when I finish speaking here. The good and the brief part, I'm probably going to struggle. So we were at a friend's wedding about a month ago. So Bo, it was usually great to see you. And his best man, and Dave was my best man at our wedding, actually said something that really struck to me. Those who matter most show up. And for you all to be here, that means a lot. So thank you very much for that. I have a long list of thank yous, so if you kind of bear with me here, I'll try to power through them. The first one I really want to thank the 87th Civil Engineering Group for supporting us. Colonel Stepanek, Chief Muller, thank you very much for having the team out here. I have Lieutenant, well, we're calling him Lacroix because it's the Paris Olympics, but it's lacrosse, so it's he's there. So for today, you call him Lacroix. That's good. And also thanks to Sergeant Dye, Sergeant Martin, Airman Lime, and Airman Ward. Really appreciate you all supporting my ceremony today. The second group of folks I wanted to really thank is just all our local friends here. You really made this place a home for us. I think Erica's somewhere out here, our realtor, who got us a home, one that just kind of pops out, once every 30 or 40 years, and we got to luck out and get into that. And Joe, our mortgage brokers here, and Steve, our contractor, redoing our kitchen and a lot of our house. So they really made a real nice, warm welcome coming in. And then on top of that, we've had great neighbors and friends. I see the Cisco's back there, getting us involved in soccer and doing other things, making the family feel warm. And then also, I really have to thank the American Legion Post, Neil in the back there, our bartender, really made me feel welcome and allowed us to use this forum. So I really appreciate our local friends here. Third, I would really want to thank just kind of all my friends that came in from quite a far distance. I think Chad, you beat out Bo on the longer drive, so it's great to see all of them. Bo, we actually have a note and some seats for you over there. I think we just snuck you up there, but unless you don't like hanging out with Chad, you wouldn't be the only ones. But I really want to thank Dave. Really appreciate what you've done here, coming in and being the narrator for us, and definitely an awesome job here. And also really want to thank Shane for being the officiating officer here. It's kind of rare. You don't have it in most businesses where you literally show up the same day and 29 years later you're still friends. We've been stationed together. I think it's North Carolina, it was in Ohio, it was in Germany, and you always found a way to reconnect and stay together. Also, next folks I really want to thank is just all the family that came out here to see this ceremony. We definitely, the main reason we did it here was for you all and to really get to see you. It's hard when you're moving around and really busy, and so myself and my family haven't been around all that much for things, but it's great to reconnect, and I'm very grateful for you all coming out here. Then kind of moving on here, I also want to thank the Muhlenberg family so much. I almost feel like we live in the same home, see each other all the time, and I promise you, we'll start invading your home when we get all settled too, but it's, you definitely have made us, feel like we're in the right place to settle, and thank you very much for that. Then this will start getting to be a little bit tough here, but I'd like to ask Claudia to come up, and then if Vim and Mom and Dad can come up, please. And Dave, if you can help us out here. Chad. Okay, thanks. So, one of the neat things as a general officer, we can pretty much do whatever the heck we want. But you can't do it without support, and we do have the ability to award parents medals. And so, Dave, if you wouldn't mind reading off the citation as we present this.
The sacrifice of the parent of a military member renders is beyond compare. As a parent, they willingly offer their blessing when their children are compelled to serve their country. If it were not for the military parent, through their child sacrifice, America would not enjoy all the freedoms that exist today. The military parent medal is cast in gold and silver colors, symbolizes how meaningful you are to us. Within the gold center is a compass rose depicting the guidance and direction you have instilled into us. The two-piece floral leaf shows us your constant offering of love and support for the decision we've made throughout our lives. The raised rippled top edge is indicative of the many opportunities you offered us. There are 4 stars around the lower half of the silver ring, symbolic of your teachings of duty, honor, integrity, and devotion. In the lower center of the outer ring is a shield for your teachings of traditions and respect for our country. The military parent medal is our way of saying you were there, then, as now, one of the most important parts of our lives. It was your understanding, love, and assurance that enabled us to know that we were accomplishing what was important. Thank you for being there with us.
Thank you very much. Make sure you get the feed. Very happy. Okay, thank you. This next one is also going to be a bit tough one. Stella, Will, and Joanna. Come on up here. So, come on up, Joanna. So, a lot of people don't realize it, but these kids also serve while we're there, and it's quite a unique set of challenges that these kids face. And so, Dave, if you wouldn't mind reading.
Throughout the years of your life, you've made sacrifices, and you served your country as much as your father did. In your loving way, you quietly shouldered the heavy burden that you were asked to carry. Most of the time, you could not understand why your father was not always there, but you quietly hid the tears, courageously put on a smile, and definitely promised that you would support your family. Your father missed many holidays and countless special occasions while you were left at home to worry while he was away. Your resilience and self-confidence gave us strength. We're proud of you, for it was your love and support which sustained us through difficult times. There is no way that your father could have been a success in the military without having your support, your understanding, and most importantly, your unquestionable love. Thank you for being there with us.
So this one's gonna get harder here. So, so Claudia has been my partner in life almost 15 years. And during that time, we've been serving alongside. It was kind of funny when we first met. I didn't realize she was Dutch, and she didn't realize I was in the Air Force. And so it was sort of unique, and in our first year of seeing each other, and kind of, we both knew it, but we really didn't believe it, and it took some time. She saw me get promoted in the Pentagon and saw me in uniform the first time, and I think it was a little kind of shocking to her. And I went and visited her family in the Netherlands, and it's kind of funny. spent some time learning some basic Dutch, and Claudia's aunt was very clear. She's like, Bill, we like that you made the effort to speak Dutch, but it hurts our ears. Speak English. And so that's how I was introduced into the Muhlenberg family. But after that, it's you know, once you kind of get used to the very direct nature of folks, you know, you kind of learn to appreciate it and that sort of thing. So instead of a medal, Claudia, the first thing she gets here is the certificate of appreciation. It's actually signed by the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and I mean that to me is a pretty big deal with you know, a 4-star general highlighting the importance of what a spouse does to you know, to the Air Force. Present that to you. Alright, awesome. And then I was a little cheap on the medal piece, but got you stumped it. So she wanted this at the 5-year anniversary, and in my mind I was like, that's not enough. Time to sing. And you know, at 10 years she kind of changed her mind. 10 years, you know, thought that would be good, but I think after 15 years in the Air Force, 15 years of being married, and now, you know, 3 children, you'd have earned this. Yeah, just the last thing I just want to say is just thank you very much. It's been a wonderful career. Each and every one of you, I've got some sort of story or discussion with you that's really meant something to me. It's definitely, I've enjoyed my time in the Air Force, but it's time for me to go and move on and hand it over to the next generation. And as you can see, you know, we're in really good hands. So I'll just kind of finish off just saying thank you once again. I really appreciate it. We still have one more formal piece of the ceremony after this, but after the ceremony, we obviously have some lunch and dessert here, and then hang out here. We got Neil at the bar, please, you know, partake, and then around 2 o'clock, we'll transition to a after party. If you want to come see our new house and was it Mark? No skinny dipping. A little wild there at that party last time. Yeah, so thank you. Over to you, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, every general officer is presented their own flag embroidered with their rank in the center. The flag when displayed signifies the general officer's presence. When a general officer retires, it is a tradition for the honor guard to furl the flag. Kale, for your leadership, and we all wish you and your family the best in the future. In keeping with Air Force traditions, please stand for the playing of the Air Force Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of General Kale and his family, thank you for attending today's ceremony and sharing this momentous occasion. Please join General Kale. Please join General Kale and his family in receiving line for warm congratulations and well wishes. The Kale family thanks you very much for your attendance. The bar is now open and lunch will be available in a few minutes. This concludes today's ceremony.